Hi everyone, Sandman here. This video is brought to you by a donation from Sandman. He didn't send me a specific topic, so I thought I'd discuss a Reddit post I found recently called, "Why Don't Men Truly Go Their Own Way?" This is one of the main things that people criticize me as well as many other MGTOW content producers for. They say that, well, if you're going your own way, then go already, and stop talking about women. The person that posted on Reddit wasn't the most eloquent of people, but here's my translation of his comments, and I quote, "We men need to gather here to vent our frustrations and post our memes. Number one, we are social animals, so we look for places to communicate with like-minded males. Number two, going your own way and posting on this subreddit aren't mutually exclusive, and in fact at the moment they go hand in hand. In reality, they don't want us to post here because it's inconvenient to their worldviews, and they don't like it, so they keep crying about, wah, MGTOW, they need to stop obsessing over women. Wah." The best thing to say when people ask you why you're going your own way but still discussing women is to say, why do alcoholics go to AA meetings? If they aren't interested in alcohol anymore, why do they have to talk about it all the time? The answer, of course, is for emotional support. To know they aren't the only ones dealing with the drinking habit, or in the case of MGTOW, drinking period blood Kool-Aid habit from a warm and cozy cooch. Of course, we all know that women don't care about the answer, either rational or not. They're trying to plant the seed in our heads that yes, we should stop consuming MGTOW content, and we should stop talking about women. This plays into their pudgy little fingers, because if we stop discussing female nature, then less new guys will hear about our tales of female betrayal, and more women will continue to have access to their very own plantation slaves. It's an information war, and each man is part of the network effect. The more men discuss female nature, the more valuable the philosophy becomes, because more men than ever hear about it. The powers that be know this, so no wonder our content gets banned and throttled down. The less of us there are talking, the less value our words have. Another thing about no longer discussing women and just focusing on your own life is that that's the type of behavior that attracts women in the first place. A man that's more into himself and doing what he wants, regardless of if he's a narcissist or not, means that he's going to attract more women to himself. Talking about general female behavior is like a cross made of garlic to a vampire. They lose their minds when you talk about them to boot. Plus, when a woman gets upset about it, for many of us it has an influence on our subconscious. We want to make women happy by nature. And if a woman gets upset that we're talking about women, then she might trigger that urge in us to protect her and do what she wants us to do. Women are trying to use their psychological tricks, and they work to some extent on men that haven't heard enough of this type of content. Women don't like their actions exposed, or that women are the inventors of cancel culture. Which is true because they like to gossip and to ostracize and isolate you from the rest of society. And your social circle if they don't like you for whatever reason. Also, if we don't talk about women, one guy says, that our human instinct draws us back to women if we don't get reminders of how bad they are. That's why I started daily content production to remind myself and others to take red pills to prevent you and me from getting wed. One user named Some Evil White Men says, to look around at what feminists do. They don't want men to have spaces where they can talk to each other. That even the freaking Boy Scouts have some girls hanging around with them nowadays. That, of course, has been true since the beginning of time, and throughout much of human history. Women feel compelled to be the glue that keeps all of socialization together. I made this video as a warning to guys thinking of going their own way from the philosophy online. Remember to come back from time to time when you feel the urge to purge your nuts and crazy sluts. You might need a refresher to relieve some of that blue ball pressure. That's what most guys aren't even thinking about. Our biology is designed to get us to forget all the red flags of behavior that women present us with, if we're not thinking about it constantly. Even when we aren't, the temptation can be rather overwhelming. Women have always relied on the strategy of divide and conquer to chop off our metaphorical cocks. They want us to stop talking about women's negative behavior so we can start thinking about their bodies. They don't want us to focus on the truth, only on the manufactured lies called their looks. And you'll see just how plain women really are. There would be no need to protect ourselves from highly sexualized women with bad attitudes if they couldn't hide behind high-priced cosmetics and plastic surgery. Women are using technologies developed by men to control us, yet men aren't allowed to use the internet, also a technology created by men to free ourselves from that control. The only way that men are going to go back to the blue pill world and stop obsessing over women without having red pill content and their own conclusions that marriage and relationships are a bad deal is if we go back to a society where men marry in their late teens and early 20s again, and are forced to stay in unholy matrimony for life. At an age where you haven't reached these conclusions independently, and where you haven't actually learned about female nature from the internet or your friends, that's my greatest fear, taking us back to a time before we learned the truth to supposedly save the human race from its own freedom. Think about it, if men were to go their own way and women were free to become feminists, the reproductive rates will never be enough and societies will keep shrinking and shrinking. But if men are kept in the dark about female nature and tricked into marriage young enough to not know any better, then it benefits civilization. Both ways suck for men. That's why we need to do something new instead of simply giving up and going back to traditionalism. Anyways, that's it for today.